we're putting up insulation, and then we're going to cover this with fence boards. So with insulation, you need your basic tools. You need a stapler, just a regular stapler, 1/2-inch staples. I got the biggest scissors I could find. These are cobalt. You can also use a regular knife or an insulation knife, just something sharp. This is an insulation knife here. It doesn't really work good on this kind of insulation. It's more for the denser insulation, like foam board. So we're gonna go ahead and do this one. So you basically put it in here, and then we'll figure out the height, and you cut it. And I don't bother measuring it, I just set it in there and cut it. So you can use faced or unfaced. This is unfaced. I prefer faced, which is faced has the paper on it. The paper would go towards you, away from the wall. But we bought this stuff at Habitat for Humanity for pennies on the dollar. So unfaced it is, because that's what they had in stock. So you take the insulation, gloves, and then you just set it up in here. You set it up in here like so. Sitting on the bottom. Cut it a little bit long. It cuts real easy with big scissors. Like I said, you can use a knife if you'd rather. I don't like using a knife because it's not as clean of a cut. Now if it's paper faced, it's real easy to set up because you can staple right through the paper. I don't have paper, so you have to staple right into it. Right where I want it. One right there. One right there. It's about halfway back. You can't staple through the whole thing because the 1/2-inch staple's not long enough. Like here's a wire. I'm going to watch for wires. Tucked in the bottom. That'll hold it in place till I get the wall in. And we'll do the other one. And then you fill in. Well, this is going to be just a half. So if you can see over here, it was too wide. So I cut strips from my waist and just jammed it in there. And that's just being held. It doesn't have to be stapled because I'm putting a wall in the way anyway. Okay, I already cut one to length. Now this one, I'm going to cut lengthwise. So it's 8 inches. Give it another inch. That way when you cram it in there, it'll help hold it. So that's 9, 8. Down here. It's also 8, so it'll be 9 inches. And on that case, you just measure 9 inches here, cut it down to length. Like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to cram it in there anyway. And just go down the whole length. So we're finishing up this cut. Once you get it going, you just kind of estimate it. See, cut. So that's about halfway through. Finish your cut. Make sure the scissors you use are not ones that you don't use your wife's good scissors, because this will eventually trash your scissors. That's why I use these cobalts, because they don't get trashed. If you you are cutting glass, basically glass fiber. All right, there we go. Do the same thing with this one we did with the last one. Got the man behind me. And it's not something they want the public to be made aware of. Why would they just say, no, these are behind your electrical boxes? You have any? Jam it in there. This one doesn't even really need staples. I'll put some in it just to keep it from sagging, you know, over the years. Jam it in there. Electrical box, jam it in there. And there you go. And then you save your little pieces, so when you have a wide piece, you can cut pieces and piece it in there. If you'll notice, these pieces are about that long. They're just because I cut it across, because if you cut a giant lengthwise pieces, you'll waste material. And then we'll just staple here. Make sure there's no wire behind it. There's a wire right there. Here. Just enough to hold it so it doesn't fall down in the wall later on. Now for the wood, I'm using fence boards, and using this saw to cut it. You can use a skill saw if you want. What we're going to be doing is cutting these dog ears off and cleaning up the bottoms if they're no good. And you're going to want a big pile of fence boards. You can see fence boards, fence boards, fence boards, fence boards, fence boards, fence boards. I've been collecting fence boards as people throw them out. A lot of times you can get these from fence companies. And we're going to just cut the dog ear off, clean up the other end. I don't care how long they are at the moment. They're going to have nails in them, so we've got to pull the nails off. So you want a bucket to throw your nails in. Alright, so now it's nail pulling time. Sometimes it's good to have two buckets. One for your trash nails and one for the good nails that are going to keep. Now, a lot of these nails are really loose on these old boards. And you can just, I don't even need a hammer. Just pull them out. Let's do a trash. So we're gonna put these in the trash can. Do that, it's a man thing. Not all of these, but most of them usually are. That one at least. Alright, then we cut this in. We want the ends to be square, so I usually just trim them up anyway. This one we cut the dog ear off. And I usually do 3 or 4 at a time, or however many I grab. Okay, so this, we're going to put boards in, going this way. all the way all the way across, all the way back, all the way across, all the way back. You're gonna need a level. I got my big level. And in this particular case, I'm gonna start, normally, we'd start right at the floor, which would normally be right there. But I got this curb to deal with. So I'm gonna have the boards drop down all the way to the curb, keep the critters out from going under that wall. Up here, it's gonna give me problems. Probably gonna have to trim the boards lengthwise because I want to get the top of the boards need to be level all the way across. So this is gonna be kind of a challenge to get this first row going. If I had a normal floor coming off of the bottom of that wall like that, then I could just put the boards down and get them pretty level, get within a 1/4 inch of the floor. But we don't have that here, so I'm gonna have to play some games with getting this to work right. And I don't know if I want to show that or not. So this foam fill's in the way. I put that under the wall to keep the critters out. Let me trim that up. So now we're in the storeroom. These are my screws. These are boxes of 12. I got these for 75 cents a box at Habitat for Humanity. Not a bad deal at all considering what they cost in the store. So you can get cheap stuff at Habitat for Humanity if they've got it. So I got my first board in and it's level. Now if you look, I'm coming across here. This curb goes up here. So my next one, I'm probably going to cut it kind of short. It's about there. And then this one, from here on out, I'm going to have to rip it. What I'm looking for is I want to get this level all the way across. And then I can start going back and forth with the boards. So as I said, I had to do something weird because of this curb and start notching and notching and notching and notching. But now I've got a level surface to start going up with. Alright, so put the first board, or not the first board, but the next board. And like I was saying, you don't have to worry about how long they are. We're going to just run it wild. So if it doesn't line up with a stud, you just put a little board behind it like that, screw it together, keep going. The reason we do that is if you line everything up on the studs, it'll look strange. You want it to be like a floor. You want it to flow, and none of these seams you want to really line up that much. So you screw that one to that board and to that board, and then keep going. So we'll go ahead and screw this guy down. Doesn't take a whole lot. You want to screw to the board below it. And screw to this board. And then on the next row, we'll screw it to the board above it. And that'll keep this secure. And we'll put the next board in, we'll put 2 screws, keep going. So now we're moving right along. Go to the next board. And again, you just run it wild. This gets easier as you get higher, of course. So this is why you want to cut it off square. Pretty level. Might need to come up on that end just a hair. You want to keep it level. These are fence boards, so they are not necessarily completely square boards, you know. Using up my old screws here. Go here. Put the top one in. that because I know that this one's off of here. Well, that's fine. We'll put this one in. Now, if this had been off, I would have had to have adjusted the up and down, and that will make a little crack here, but that's acceptable. Because as you go up, you're going to lose your level if you don't keep checking level on everything. Every board you put in, you will eventually lose your level, and it'll look all wonky and crooked. Okay, so now we're down at the end. I've got a board here that's got a split in it. We're going to use the unsplit part. You just set it up here. Now you could actually measure this if you wanted to. I don't care. I'm going to cut it square, about yay, and then put it in. Let's see if I got my measurement right on my screws. There they are. So just go in here like so, and I got the wrong end. Now these boards have discoloration on them. I usually put the discoloration to the back. If that fits any better. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Now it's a little bit low here, so this board's a little narrower than the others. So again, do our little leveling trick. Put the top screw in. You can see I ran it wild. I got a board here. Get that even. That's level, about right there. Boards are, old, so you want to be careful not to get too close to the ends. Look at the grain. Make sure that you're not going into an already split part, or not, or something that looks like it'll cause a split. And that's one of the reasons I'm using drywall screws, is because they're narrower than your typical deck screws, and they'll look better because drywall screws pretty much disappear on this stuff. Now here's an important thing. So on that row, I went right to left. Now if I went right to left again, this board is a full length board. It'll about line up with the one that's already there. And we don't want that. So this one, you run the opposite direction from the first one, and that'll help make the lines be offset more and not, one line going straight up the wall. Now, one thing I just remembered, I almost forgot. So I've got this board behind here. This is the board above it. You've got to attach that one to that one. There we go. It's attached below to the two boards above. The other thing I just remembered, because I was out in the woodpile looking and I ran across it, is not all fence boards are the same thickness. Some are thicker than others. You need to make sure that whatever you go with is the same thickness, otherwise you'll have boards sticking out. It'll look weird. So now we're going on to the next board. I just took whatever out of the scrap pile. This one's running wild too. The chance that you have one line up with the stud, except on the ends, is pretty low. So we'll just put that in there. See, it doesn't really matter what you're using. Just so you have something behind there. Catch it. one there. Ooh, that was my finger. Okay, watch your fingers. And then below, to hold it. And we'll go to the next board. Same thing. Pick your side. This side looks better. And it goes right there. Check the level. Looking good. Screw it in. Now I'm going to go ahead and screw it to the stud first. I'll screw it down here, make sure it stays level. So it doesn't move around on me. And we'll go back and tie it to this backer board. Now this backer board's not as wide as I'd like it, but I just use whatever scrap, doesn't matter. And then you keep going. Now this is what I would consider a mistake. You can see here, I put this board down from the door over. I'm gonna put trimmer on the door. And I could have cut it right there and caught that stud. But I didn't notice it until after I'd gotten the board up, and I'm not pulling the board down just to cut it. I should have noticed that before. So now I need a backer board when I really could have gone without it. I could have just cut that short. So you can see it's starting to come together. Now this is the very next board. So there's that where I screwed up. I put the very next board in. I put one screw in. And this board has a little bit of a taper to it. Right in here. I can't, I'm hitting stuff. Right in here there's a little bit of a taper to it. So it's not level, but you can see right here, it lines up nicely with the stud. So we're going to just cut that off. And then I don't have to use a backer board. So this board's a little tapered. So when I put the level on it, you can see it's low on this end. So it needs to go up just a smidge like that. Also, this board's a little bit narrower than this board, so you got to line the tops up because that's what's important. If you don't line those up, you'll start having big gaps. It'll make you unhappy later. So I need to drill over here. Oy. Old man's getting old. So I'm by myself. If I had a helper, it'd be a little easier. So it's a little bit low on this end because it's tapered. Now if it's real bad, then you'll either have to discard this board or use it on ends or something small or whatever. And you can see the board before it was also tapered. And you can see I had to do the same thing. I had to come up just a hair. Nobody will notice that. Now my next board, down at the end, I'm going to get closer. So I'm going to use a board split a good part of the way up. The end I need is not split. It's the same thing. Jam it in the corner. Find your pencil. Make sure you only grab the pencil out of your pocket. And make a mark. And the rest of this board I can use for backers because it's split in half. I can just take that and cut it up and put it in the back. So again, we're going to line it up at the top. This board's a little narrow too. And Get it level. Move on. Now, if you run into a problem where this gap at the bottom gets way too big, you can take this bottom board loose and kind of adjust it a little just to make it, you know, look better. Or not. Make sure that's lined up at the top. Put the one screw in. Get the level. That's looking good. So we'll put the other in and nail her down, and then we'll go this way. And that way, again, it's to prevent all these ends from lining up so that it doesn't have that line going up the wall. So now we've come across a plug. So I got my board, already cut to length. I need to know where this plug's going to lie. Now, it's going to be somewhere in there and somewhere in there. It's not terribly important to get this exactly right. That on the end, get that on the end, and then I'll project those lines back and we'll get a square, and then you cut that with an oscillating saw. Now, I'll be totally honest with you, I should probably use a square to do this, but I'm not going to because it's not terribly critical. Yeah, square enough is square enough. It's going to be behind a plate. So there's one line. Get that kind of square. There's your second line. And we look at the ends. There and there-ish. So I can always just keep trimming away wood until I've got a hole that the box will fit through. So since I'm not using a square, I gotta kind of eyeball this about there. That's not square. About there. And then here, hanging up on the wall there. All right, so there's my square. And we just get an oscillating saw, bzzzt, all the way around, get our hole. And if you screwed up, it's just a fence board, do it again. All right, loud noises coming at you. Got it. Let's see if it fits. Now see these ears? Get a little closer. These ears are sticking out. I'll probably have to take this plug out. Take the bottom screw part way out. Then take the top screw part way out, or all the way out. And the reason you do that is because they got those little cardboard thingies that retain the screw, and if you take the screw all the way out, the cardboard thing will also come out. So, did we make it fit right or not? Look at that. Ain't that pretty? Like a glove. So you can see, I didn't even turn power off. Good to go. Level it up, screw it down. All right, that's in. Now the box is a little further back than I'd like it, but I thought we were going to put sheetrock up, so I spaced it for sheetrock. That's all right. And now the little tangs on the plug will catch the wood. And it will be the right depth, or thereabouts. You can adjust it a little bit. If I don't like the way it's sitting, I'll loosen up the screws that hold the plug in on the duplex outlet. It will be proper. And that'll bring the plug out a little bit. You're supposed to use spacers to do that if you have them, but if it's just a little bit, you don't have to use a spacer. Be careful when you're tightening this, you can end up cracking it. You'll be tightening it up and it'll go crack. Beautiful. Look at that. Yeah, I know. Almond cover, white plug. I'm in a barn. I don't care. All right, so here we are at the end of day one. Worked on it for, I don't know, 4 hours or so. So you can see at the bottom where I had to do some weird notching to get that curb and get everything level. We did a plug. Now if you'll notice, we've got a screw at the bottom. Oh, I missed a screw here. I'll put that one in. And see how none of the seams line up. Makes for a much better look. If I had all the seams lining up on these studs, you'd have a line going right down that stud, and it looks a lot better if it's more like a floor and just nothing lines up. So here's one with a plate behind it, with a backing plate. So I got a screw at the bottom to hold it, the joint, and then the screw at the top to hold it. And you can see it's not lined up with anything that's floating. All right, we're gonna cut us some boards. All you gotta do is do the ends. Don't worry about how long they are. You don't want anything to line up anyway. Now you can see here, to get that next level, to get that one level, I had to go up a little bit. See that gap? So I'm going to move this board to center a little bit better that gap. so that it spreads it out a little. If I can get it to move. That'll make it less noticeable. So here we are to the next box. This board's a little bit short. That's okay because we're going around a box. I'll probably regret it later. Maybe I'll lift it up a little. Do the same thing we did before. Make a mark. Make a mark. Make a mark. And we'll project all this out, cut it, and then stick it up. Same way we did before with the buzz saw, the oscillating saw. Alright, this one fought me quite a bit. So, in hindsight, I should have cut this board longer, brought it all the way over. But then this would not have anything to nail to. That's the problem. That's why I didn't do that. So I just loosen these up so I can slip under. In theory. Like so. That's looking good. Okay. Level. Same thing, level it up. Just go up just to here, like that. In this case, it's quite a bit. Actually, not that bad. Split the difference. And then we'll do the same thing coming back. This was giving me hell though. I should have just done it differently. Okay, for this we're gonna have to cut an angle. You can figure out the angle if you want. Use a square, carpenter square. Or you can do it this way. So that's the board I'm going to use. Go back here until it fits. Make a mark. So that's where it's the full height. 21.5. Two. This is the board we measured off of. 2 at the end. Maybe full heights here. Where did my mark go? There it is. 21.5. Back to 2. And we'll cut that off with a skill saw. And that should fit just perfect. So here's that board. So you can see I didn't have to know the angle. I just jammed the board to the ceiling until it hit right there. Measure down there, 21.5. And it's a perfect fit. All right, so this is the next one. We're gonna do the same thing. Get the board that we're gonna use, figure out which side we want. You stick it up here. Until it fits. Oh goodness. Right there. Okay. It's right there. Now you go back to the board that you just cut. That's where the end of that cut is. That's 0, 25 inches the full way across. So we go 0, down 25. Make your line. Now you cut that off with a skill saw. And then you'll fit it up here. Make your mark for here. After you cut that off and fit it up in there, make your mark here, cut that off, up it goes. So we start here at 0, we measure down 25, made a mark here, made a line, cut that off. Then we'll go back, fit the board, find out where to cut it off, where it fit up here, and that'll be your board. All right, so we'll cut the board, drop the pencil, broke the pencil. That's all right. I don't need a whole pencil. I need to be kind of in front of where I need to mark though. One more time. There goes there. Like so. Here's my length. There. And we'll cut that off and we'll go right up. Oh, God bless.
Be careful.
Well, you were coming at me.
I am not coming at you. I was standing right here.
It's rocking. This board's warped. So it's going to have to get trimmed here. So I got to come in here, trim this board with the zip gun right in here somewhere to make this fit.
I'll be your way for a little bit. I have to go pee.
Just a hair. That's the beauty of working with this old wood. Sometimes it doesn't want to play right. Loud noises. Fits any better now. Much better. Not a whole lot better, but better than it did. There'll be some more from here to here, here to here. So I'll keep whittling away at it until I get it to fit right. All right, so I got it to where it sits pretty good. But this board is plain too tall, right there, about a 1/4 inch. So I got to zip off the whole 1/4 inch off the top of this. So I use a skill saw. Zipped off the top 1/4 inch. So now it fits. So I had to get the hump out of this and then trim off 1/4 inch off of that. So now it fits pretty good. And it goes. Replace that bit, it's going bad. So we'll put that one in and you just rinse and repeat all the way up. Same thing over and over. Now you notice this one doesn't have a stud or anything behind it. So I have to put a board behind here, just like you do in between when you're not on a stud. Just something to hold it. Put it back far enough so when we put the screw in, it doesn't split, so probably back here. And there it is, finished wall. I'm not going to finish up there because it's too much going on. I'll finish it later, or not. You can see how with nothing lining up, you don't have any like definitive lines going down a stud or anything. You can see here, that's a joint. See, screw on top, screw on bottom, screws holding it together. And that's all there is to it. Yeah, I know, 1.5-hour video. That's all there is to it. She sure is pretty though. Isn't she?
Yep.